Gollum, from The Lord of the Rings, is one of the trilogy's most complex characters. He is also arguably the face of the entire franchise. Oftentimes, antagonists are of the most complex characters in their stories. Gollum is no different. He has evil intentions, yet is also easy to pity. But before we move forward, please note that this video essay describes the events of the movies and does not consider lore from Tolkien's books, which the series was adapted from. Bearing the ring would cause even the most pure-hearted of beings to be tormented and forever changed to one extent or another. So an already morally gray character like Smeagol was just bound to be easily controlled by the power of the ring. Gollum spent 500 years influenced by the ring, so when he lost possession of it, his feelings could easily be compared to withdrawal from a dark and severe addiction. As the Fellowship traveled to Mordor, Gollum closely followed, searching for any opportunity to get the ring back. As feeble as Gollum looks, he's resilient and smart. He may not have a wizard's magic or the power of the One Ring, but he's darn good with deception. Throughout the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Gollum gives a masterclass in manipulation against Frodo. Here are the 6 steps Gollum takes to manipulate Frodo. Step 1. Observe and take notes. Until Gollum decides to eventually confront Frodo and Sam in the Two Towers, Gollum follows the Fellowship through Moria and for months during their quest. During this time, he spies on them, he listens, he picks up information, including about Frodo's personality. Gollum ends up attacking Frodo and Sam, desperate to get the ring back, but he is ultimately overpowered by the two. He's almost left to die, yet he still finds a way to escape death. How? That brings us to Step 2. Appeal to Frodo's humanity. Gollum's in a tough bind when Frodo has his sword up to his neck. Gollum makes a bold move by bursting into a whiny cry right after trying to kill Frodo and Sam, but he clearly knew his audience. The pity card likely wouldn't have worked on an orc, but Gollum had been following the hobbits long enough to know they've got hearts and would not kill so easily. Sam and Frodo tie up Gollum, who dramatically begs to be released. When Sam suggests leaving him tied up to die, Gollum explains that would kill him. It's an ironic plea, as he had no problem killing them, but it gets the job done. Frodo looks upon his helplessness and pity.
But now that I see him, I do pity him.
Gollum hears those words and immediately stops flailing. He's calculated. He seizes the moment to attack. Gollum's caught Frodo's attention and moves on to Step 3. Prove he is helpful. It's one thing to evoke sympathy in your target, but it's even more effective to show that you're needed by them.
You know the way to Mordor. Yes.
Gollum simultaneously makes himself look lesser while also claiming to be of useful support to them. It's a great tactic from Gollum. Make yourself look weak and unthreatening so your target will drop their guard. Them gaining a false sense of security prepares them to leave cracks of vulnerability you can attack in the future. Gollum's pleas may not be enough to convince Sam of his honesty, but it convinces Frodo, and a win is a win. In just a short exchange, Gollum goes from nearly being deserted and left to die, to being trusted and completely untied by the bearer of his precious. Step 4. Earn Frodo's trust. Gollum remains faithful to Frodo. He guides him in the right direction, teaches him things, and gives him gifts. Gollum's rabbits may not be a pleasant sight, but they're his version of love bombing. Through that, Gollum seems devoted and caring. He builds intimacy and trust with Frodo. He also ensures he doesn't ever seem like a threat. Gollum leads Frodo and Sam to trust him enough to lower their guards. It is only when they're both sleeping that Gollum is able to start making big moves. Step 5. Isolate Frodo. Gollum is able to earn Frodo's trust, but not Sam's. Sam is never fully convinced by Gollum's loyalty and intentions, so he repeatedly berates him. At these moments, Gollum bites his tongue and doesn't fight back in front of Frodo. He can't drop the good guy act, but his ideas are always brewing. Gollum knows that he must separate Frodo and Sam if he wants to get to the ring. Sam is too suspicious, and it'd be infinitely harder to overpower them together. So what does he do? He uses emotional manipulation to turn Frodo against his friend. It starts with Gollum planting the seed that Sam wants to take the One Ring, which Frodo has grown protective of.
He wants it. He needs it. Smeagol sees it in his eye.
Frodo had already been unhappy with Sam's treatment of Gollum.
Hey, Stinker, don't go getting too far ahead.
Why do you do that? Oh, call him names. Run him down all the time.
So Gollum just had to elevate those feelings. Knowing that their food rations are limited and their exhaustion would cause panic and anger, Gollum decides to carefully scatter breadcrumbs on a sleeping Sam before tossing it away. Gollum's choices in the next moments are what seals the deal with isolating Frodo. He doesn't want to seem overeager to bring up the matter of the missing bread, as that could make the situation seem staged. Gollum instead allows Sam to realize the bread is missing on his own so he could act clueless. Gollum extends his patience to let Sam blame him before bringing up the matter of the crumbs on his clothes. He wants to play up the victim role, and during that, he passively comments on how he doesn't like elf bread, meaning that there'd be no reason for him to eat it. This has Frodo convinced. And when the attention and blame shifts towards Sam, Gollum puts the final nail in the coffin by pointing out the breadcrumbs on Sam's cloak. This infuriates the innocent Sam, who then turns violent against Gollum. Frodo is a kind individual who is uncomfortable with aggression, so this only further cements his negative perception of his friend. Sam then unknowingly makes the mistake to offer to hold the ring for a short while. His intentions are pure, but they support the point Gollum put into Frodo's head about Sam wanting the ring. And that's when the switch completely flips. At this point in the story, Frodo's attachment to the ring and any mention of it leaving him, even if just to ease his burden, comes across as a threat. And just as Gollum planned, Frodo casts Sam away. Step 6. Breed dependency. If it weren't for Gollum, Frodo and Sam wouldn't have known how to make it to Mordor. He shows them the way through the Dead Marshes, giving them insight about the marshes they wouldn't otherwise know. He even saves Frodo's life. Frodo and Sam didn't know how to make it to the Black Gates of Mordor, but Gollum did. And then, when going through the Black Gate was ultimately too dangerous, Gollum knew of another way. Frodo and Sam needed Gollum or else they would have walked straight into death long ago, and Frodo knew that. Frodo and Sam's lack of knowledge about where they were going made it extremely easy for Gollum to lead them anywhere he wanted, which he did with Shelob's lair in order to have Frodo killed. Even when Frodo looked into the spider's lair with fear and uncertainty, all he could do was trust Gollum.
It's the only way.
He knew of no other way to get where he needed, and so he does it. He walks straight into Gollum's trap. The pitiful Gollum managed to perfectly manipulate Frodo and have him wrapped around his finger, even after attempted murder. Everything worked according to Gollum's plan until the very end. And in reality, lots of people do employ the tactics listed before to gain emotional control over someone else, and it can be easy to be influenced by their efforts. I think it's important to also discuss how Frodo made it past Gollum's cruel cleverness. Of course, Sam ends up saving Frodo. His rescuing is impressive and commendable, but it also truly exemplifies the importance of friendship. Sam knew from the beginning that Gollum was untrustworthy, and if Frodo had listened to him sooner, they could have approached the whole situation in a safer and better way. Friends can give you a much-needed second opinion on the decisions you make, and oftentimes, their more distant perspective of an issue could allow them to notice things you may not have. It's important to have at least a few people in your life who you can trust will give you their honest opinions about things you're doing or people you're surrounding yourself with. If they tell you that someone you're spending time with is not as noble as you may see them to be, there may just be validity to their statements, just as there was to Sam's. So don't be too distrustful of people without reason, but also remember the value of gaining a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with having your perspective of something changed, especially if it's in your best interest.